Hi, my name is Lorena Ramirez, and I am an organizer for Ground Game Texas. The organization is mainly focused on issues that are important to the community. In Austin, they've done decrim of marijuana, they've done no knock warrants, and $15 minimum wage. I got involved with this organization because I believe in what they stand for. And when they asked me to join, I was willing to volunteer, but they asked me to join as an organizer, and I was really excited about it. We started with the $15 minimum wage in Edinburgh and then in Alton. And so to me, this is very important because it's going to change lives. It's going to help the community. And to me, that's important.
So do you know how long Ground Game has been going as a political group?
2016 is when Julie Oliver started this organization. She was running for Congress, and she didn't make it. But she said, even if I'm not a Congress member, I'm going to do something for our communities. So she started in Central Texas, and then branched out to South Texas, and I'm so happy that she did that.
And so let's talk about this general election, but also the primary. You as a group, Ground Game Texas, you've been down in the valley. You're from the valley, I know, but you've been here in the primary and this general supporting Michelle Vallejo for Congress in Congressional District 15. Mm-hmm. Why is the group supporting Michelle?
Well, there are many. I can tell you different reasons, but the reason that I support Michelle is because I believe that it's time. It's sad that they took away women's rights with the abortion law here in Texas. I tell people when I'm walking the streets I explain to them how is it that they took it, because many people don't know. So I explain to them.
What do they not know?
They just think that they don't know about how extensive the abortion law is and how it can affect them personally. They just say I don't agree with abortion, but that's it. They don't know the ends. They don't know that doctors can be incarcerated for helping a woman for healthcare, for women's healthcare, for helping a woman that's having a spontaneous abortion. They don't know that if a woman's health is in danger, that a doctor might be hesitant to take care of her until they're really ill, because they're afraid of going to jail. And they don't know that another person can get a bounty, and a $10,000 bounty if they report someone that had an abortion. They don't know all those details. And I've had conversations with both Democrats and Republicans, and we can agree that there should be exceptions, there should at least be some exceptions. We agree on everything except that they think that abortions are being used as contraception, and that's the only part that they don't agree with. But other than that, they agree with everything else. And so when I tell them about the extent of this law, they're surprised.
I was going to ask, what's the reaction
been? They're surprised. Oh no, we don't agree that with all the other parts of the law. We only agree about using abortion as contraception.
So that's one of the issues why Ground Game is supporting Michelle Vallejo. What are the other issues?
Again, minimum wage, which we're starting to get there city by city, hopefully. I think it's time for us to get paid a living wage. People here don't get paid enough even if two in the household work, is not enough to put a roof over their heads, to feed their children. And if we're worried about our children, we need to take care of them. We need to make sure that they have a roof over their heads. So that's important. And the fact that she's not getting any corporate money, to me, that's very, very important. Because when you're not getting that corporate money, there's no strings attached. You're going to have the people who are supporting you, and the people who are supporting you are nonprofit organizations and, just basic $10, $20 average donations, and organizations like Lupe, like like ground game, that are for the people, that are doing the work for the people. So to me, that's very, very important.
So, and her opponent is getting corporate money?
Yes, sir. Yes, she has way more money than the Michelle Vallejo campaign, because she's getting a lot of corporate donations.
So tell us how many staff, how many volunteers Ground Game has for this particular race, for this District 15?
7.
7 workers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a big county, Hidalgo, so you're sort of spread thin. Where do you concentrate your work?
So we started in Edinburgh before early voting, and then we went to Mission, and right now we have, 2 of us are here in Sullivan, 2 of us are in Edinburgh, and 2 of them are in Mission, and then 1 is just like, wherever you need me, I'll go. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're doing our best to cover the most ground. It's difficult here in Sullivan because the streets, some of them don't have names, they don't have numbers. Some of them have 2 numbers, so it's a little crazy down here.
Some of them have dogs.
Oh,
and
definitely.
ducks.
Oh, most definitely. We've encountered that. Yes, but hey, it is what it is. We're doing the work that needs to be done here in the valley.
What's been the reaction? What are the big issues that you hear from voters when you knock on the door? What are they concerned about?
What are they concerned about? Why vote? We've had that.
So there's potential apathy.
Mm-hmm. Why vote? It's always the same. They're all crooked. That's one thing that breaks my heart. It really, truly does break my heart. They're basically apathy. They're all crooked, and then nobody does anything for us. They only come looking for us when it's time to vote, and then after that they leave and they forget about our community. And to me, that breaks my heart.
Is that in Sullivan particularly, or other areas as well?
In many areas, especially in the more poor communities. That's what I've heard. And then, of course, there's a lot of support from Michelle. They like what she stands for, and for whoever doesn't support her, a lot. I can give you an example. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody, and they were telling me, well, I supported, I already voted, and I supported De La Cruz because of the abortion issue. And then I sat down and I said, I know you already voted, but can you tell me more? I mean, what about this bill is it because that you support, right? And she said, well, because I don't support abortions. And then I started explaining to her, what the bill was about. And she's like, well, I didn't know that. And I'm so sorry. Normally I vote the last minute, and this time I voted early, but if you would have come last week, I would have voted for Michelle. And I said, you know what? That's okay. That's okay that you were not fully informed, but this is why it's important that we get informed before we go vote. Because the more we are informed, the better choices that we make for ourselves.
So going forward, when you hear the stories from the voters that they are apathetic, they're asking, why should I vote? It doesn't interest me, there's so much corruption, things like that is what you're saying. Going forward, would that tell you that, and like you say, they say, we only see the candidates or their helpers, their volunteers at election time. Does that tell us that outside of election time there should be more town hall meetings in places like Sullivan City, not just from the city council members for this community, but the member of Congress, the county judge, the state senator, the state reps? There should be more participation with elected officials. They should come out here more often?
Absolutely. I think that would be a game changer. I think people would feel more inclined to vote if they can hear from the candidates themselves, and if they can see that there has been change, and they can talk to them personally about their problems that they're having. I mean, I was just talking to a voter just before I came here that was saying, why am I going to vote? I mean, I keep telling them that my house floods and that something needs to be done, and nobody comes and helps me. And so if they're not listening to me, why should I go and take time to go vote? So, yeah.
Unfortunately, Lorena, you're painting a very depressing story here. And it must be hard work if you're going door to door. And
it is absolutely, like I said, it's to me, it hurts my heart because this is my community. And it hurts my heart to hear them say things like this and feel like, what can I do to help? What is it that we need? What infrastructure do we need in these areas that we can be of support to these communities? Nobody's asking for a free handout. They're just asking for the resources to be able to move forward. And $15 minimum wage is one of them. You know, voter education is another. We had a person the day before yesterday that told me she tried to register to vote 3 times, and she has yet to receive a voter registration card. So once I started talking to her, and she told me that she had become a U.S. citizen 5 years ago, and since then she's been trying to register to vote. What she didn't know, and what we figured out, was that she didn't turn in her naturalization papers to the DMV. And she didn't know that she was supposed to do that. So 5 years she's been trying to register to vote, and all she had to do was take her naturalization papers to the DMV or to the voter registrar's office so that she can become a registered voter. And she told me, I told my family, nobody's voting this year. Nobody's voting for this midterms because they're not even letting me register. So her family was not going to vote. She told all her family, we're not voting because they don't care about us. So as soon as you were the first one that gave me the information right now, as soon as you leave, I'm going to go to the DMV and get that done, and I'm telling my family to go out and vote.
She won't be able to. It's too late for her to register, but her family...
Absolutely.
How big a family does she have?
She had four people in her household. And she told them nobody's voting this time.
So they're always thinking of solutions here. In that case, maybe the county needs to do better education to tell, we've got a very big immigrant community here, to tell the newly registered,
the new
citizens, yeah, this is what you need to do, because maybe they don't know.
There's a lack of education. I think it's very important. I mean, that's one of the things that I love to do. I'm a voter registrar, so I actually registered right then and there at her doorstep. I registered her to vote, and I told her, go do that, so by the time I turn in your application, you're clear and you're able to get your registration card. But that's one of the things that I love doing, registering people to vote. During our $15 campaign, we registered about 150 voters just before the primaries. We registered over 100. I myself registered over 150 voters before the primaries, and I've been registering since people at the doors because they don't even know where to go, what to do. And so that's a big thing that I love to do with this organization, that they promote us getting people out there to vote. 3 of our canvassers, they're voter registrars, and we love doing that. That's one of our priorities, is registering people to vote and educating them on the process.
Perhaps some of our viewers here, when they see this video, will be interested to know a little bit about yourself. I understand you're a veteran. Tell us about your career down here.
So, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So, I was an LVN when I was younger. I worked with Don ISD as a school nurse. I worked in home health, and I was National Guard. Then Iraq happened. I started getting deployed, and I ended up in Central Texas. And after that, I went back to school, got a degree in social work. I have a master's in social work, and then I got involved with this. I think this is macro social work, basically. I think that it's time that we do some policy changes, and I think starting from the ground and talking to people and getting it done by the people is important, because then we'll have policies that reflect the values of the community. So yeah, and I'm a veteran, I'm a retired veteran, and I do this because I love what we do. I don't think that anybody that's canvassing, I don't think this job would be as fulfilling if you're only doing it because of the money. It doesn't make any sense, because it's very, very hard work. Some of our volunteers have told me this is the hardest I've ever worked in my life, because it's not easy. So you have to do it with passion, you have to do it with love, and you have to do it for the community. If not, it doesn't have the same reward.
Yeah. Thank you for telling us your personal story. I want to go back to something you said earlier in this conversation, where you said that Michelle Vallejo has been outspent. There's been millions of dollars invested in her opponent. Do you get any reaction? And we've obviously all seen the TV ads. What's been the reaction on the doorstep to something like that? Are people turned off from voting for her because of all this negative advertising, the millions of dollars that have been spent against her?
I've actually seen the opposite. As soon as I tell them that she doesn't have as much money as her opponent, because her opponent is supported by corporations, they tell me, well, then she's going to represent corporations. And I'm like, exactly. And that's all I have to say. And they take my little pamphlet and they say if I'm going to vote for her.
So that advertising, all that money spent, may be counterproductive.
Exactly. I had a family. She said we already voted. It was about 8 people in the household, and she said, "Why didn't you come last week?" That's exactly what she said. I would have voted for her if you would have come last week. So it's hard to hear that. I wish we would have more people on the ground educating the public about the candidates and not telling them how to vote. That is one thing that I always tell people at the doors. I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I'm here to tell you why I support this candidate and why I believe this is the best choice for our community. But in the end, you're out there in the polls, you vote your conscience. You vote what you know that is best for you and your family and our community. And an educated voter is the best kind of voter.
Well, Lorena, those are all the questions I had. Is there anything I've missed? Anything else you'd like to tell the viewers about your work, about the group, Ground Game, or about this campaign?
I think that yes, there is a lot of work to be done, but I think our community is strong, and I think they're smart, and I think that if we reach them where they're at and we educate them, I think we're gonna have progress. We're gonna do better, and if we can fight against corruption from the ground up, and we can fight against corruption educating the voters, that's the best way to do it. And that's what we need to do. We need to spend more. Instead of spending more money, we need to spend our resources with the people to go and educate our community, create programs that are going to register more voters, create programs that are going to educate our children on the process of voting. It's sad to see that there's a lot of people who don't know how to register to vote. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. I haven't voted. This is my first time voting. What am I supposed to do? And I have to tell them, this is what you do. I've even taken a couple of voters to the polls, and they asked me, do you want to help them? I'm like, no, I'm just here to bring them to the polls so that they can have a ride to the polls, but I have the worker help them, because you vote how you want to vote. So I've given them a ride, and that's it. And yeah, that's to me is very important, especially when we have voters that are, some of them can't read, so they need the extra help, or some of them are elderly and have lots and lots of questions. We need to take the time to help them, and not tell them how to vote, but definitely educating them.
Well, Lorena, thank you so much for today's interview. We've certainly learned a lot about your group, about the work that you do, and it's fascinating to hear from someone that's working on the ground, interacting with the voter, We don't see or hear much about what the people think, what they're saying to you. So we really appreciate the time you've given us today.
And you're welcome to come block walk with me.
I may not, but you're telling me that's hard work.
It is. Well, Julie was out here block walking with me last week.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We were out here in Sullivan. Yep.
Even though she's from Central Texas?
She came all the way over here for a couple of days to help us block walk.
What was her reaction to this area?
She loved it, but she said, this turf is totally different than Austin. And it's hard. She loves animals, so even if the dogs were there, she was like playing with the dogs. And but yeah, she was out here. And that's the other thing that I like about this organization, that they get their hands dirty, they come in and work alongside with us.
Lorena, again, thank you very much for today's interview.